November 23rd regular meeting of Amherst City Council will come to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Winarski.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Janik.
Here.
Mr. Bukovac.
Here.
Mr. Goodell.
Here.
Mr. Van Chern.
Here.
Mrs. Wasilk.
Somebody want to excuse Mr. Kakuka? Mr. Winarski.
Mr. Kakuka will not be with us tonight, I understand. He's put a letter on file, and I'd like to ask that we excuse him.
Thank you. Mr. Janik?
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to excuse Mr. Kakuka from tonight's meeting. He has a letter on file. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? He is excused. Will stand for the prayer by Chaplain Wasilk and remain standing for the pledge of the flag by Sergeant Arms Bukovac.
Will you bow with me, please? Gracious God, bless this meeting tonight. Bless all who are here and all who serve. Nous sommes tous des Parisiens and we are all Parisians. We join our voices together in supplication for a resolution to the disorder that we see in Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. We ask that you bless all those who work to resolve these conflicts. We pray a special blessing of protection for our soldiers and volunteers who serve in zones of conflict. And now may the words of our mouth and the meditations of our heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to item 4, the consent agenda.
Minutes of the regular council meeting held November 9th, 2015. Minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held November 16th, 2015. Minutes of the Ordinance Committee meeting held November 16th, 2015.
Mr. Van Chern.
Move to accept the consent agenda as read.
Mr. Janik.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to accept the consent agenda as read. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Janik.
Yes.
Mr. Bukovac.
yes.
Mr. Goodell.
Yes.
Mr. Van Chern.
Yes.
Mrs. Wasilk.
Motion carries. Move on to item 5, acknowledgement of the public pertaining to items on tonight's agenda. Mr. Bukovac.
Thank you. I'd like to speak real quickly on the ordinances we have before us this evening, specifically in regards to the salary increases for the upcoming terms. I realize we're actually addressing one because of a voting issue. And one thing I'd like to point out is that the importance of suspending council rules is outlined pretty specifically in the ordinances, therefore requiring a 6-person vote. I think that's one of the things that we have a tendency to abuse at times. There is obviously, and I do recognize the fact that there is a need for those instances, but this, in the case for the ordinances that, or some of the ordinances, the salary-based ones that we're speaking with tonight, we were not asked to suspend council rules, and therefore I don't believe we should. That is all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Completes item 5. Moving on, item 6, ordinances and resolutions. First reading.
An ordinance establishing the salary and benefits for the full-time mayor's position and repealing all other ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Van Chern.
Do we need to move to send this back to the first reading? So this is
It's on the
still
first reading.
Okay. So I move to send this on to the second reading.
Thank you. Ms. Wasilk.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to send item A onto the second reading. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Janik.
Yes.
Mr. Bukovac.
Yes.
Mr. Goodell.
Yes.
Mr. Van Chern.
Yes.
Mrs. Wasilk.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item B.
An ordinance to increase appropriations in law director contracts and professional services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I believe you were asking for suspension of rules on this, correct?
Yes, for this, the auditor and I are both asking for the suspension of rules. This is to finish up for the end of year
city business.
to make
So
sure
this
money's
is-
there
This
as
is a
soon as
legitimate,
possible.
this is a legitimate request, I
Correct.
feel.
I'd like to make a motion to have item 6, or suspend council rules so that item 6B may be passed on its first reading.
Thank you. Mr. Goodell?
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to suspend council rules. Item B shall may be passed on the first reading. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bukovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasilk?
Motion carries. Mr. Miller?
Move to adopt.
Mr. Winarski?
I'll second.
Motion is second on the floor to adopt. Roll call vote.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bukovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasilk?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It would be ordinance O-15-37.
Item C.
An ordinance reappropriating funds in various accounts and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Janik?
Motion to suspend council rules so that item 6C can be passed on its first reading.
Mr. Winarski?
I'll second.
Motion is second on the floor to suspend council rules on item C so may be passed on the first reading. Any comments? Mr. Miller?
And once again, the reason we're suspending council rules is because we were not sure that this money was going to need to be appropriated, or we had to wait to the end of the year to find out the amounts that we were going to need to cover us.
This is the amount of money that the auditor feels that we're gonna need in these various accounts, because if you remember, and you've known, that when we make this budget up in January or February, we're guessing what our end up is gonna be. And the fact of the matter, this is routinely, I've been here over 20 years in the scheme of things, and you have to do this on a budget. You're not gonna guess everything right. And this is to bring everything in order so we end up all these accounts in the black. And this is why we're doing this.
And this appropriation is not for anything for the end of this year. You're saying it's to cover bills. Is it
No,
to
it's-
cover bills
it's for
for the
the end of the
31st?
2015, it's for the year 2015, because on January 1st, 2016, we passed an interim budget. And that will be good in the first 3 months, and then next year in February, you'll pass a permanent budget for the year. And then a year from now, the auditor's gonna come to you and say, we didn't guess everything right. We're gonna need you to pass reappropriations for 2016. This is just boilerplate legislation that we do, and this is to make sure the city is continually in the black, and we fulfill these account numbers to make payments for our expenses.
So we can cover payments. And I asked you in the committee that there isn't any planned overtime. The only thing that that's doing is making sure if we do have a snow or
Right.
late December need for overtime in any of the departments,
Yeah,
we're
I
able
can't
to
tell
cut
you how
checks.
many water breaks are gonna be
Right.
till the end of the year. I can't tell you how much snow we're gonna have. This to make sure that I don't come to you on December 30th and say, I need a reappropriation here because I don't have enough money to pay these people. This is just routine, basic boilerplate legislation that we do. I think, John, you can
Yeah.
attest to this. We do this every year because we do not have crystal balls that we can call every shot that's gonna happen a year from now.
A budget is just what it says it is. It's a budget. You can't cover everything. This is just to make us pay bills, gives us money to pay bills to the end of the year. It doesn't mean we're gonna spend the money. We just want it in those accounts in case we need it.
The one thing though we will definitely be needing is the 34,481 for part-time wages for the police. That's an already accrued amount that needs to be covered.
We think so. We don't know. We're in the middle of the year where we have buyouts in the police departments and that area.
Part-time.
And again, we're putting our best foot forward, and the chief is estimating what it's gonna cost us for the end of the year. Hopefully, we have this money to carry over, because that's what we're doing. We're reappropriating these monies in the same accounts, and if we don't use it, we carry it over for next year.
Well, thank you. That answers my question. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all.
Anyone else? There's a motion and a second on the floor to pass item C on declaring an emergency. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bookovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren? Mrs. Wasil?
Motion carries. Mr. Bookback,
Move to adopt.
Mr. Miller,
Second.
motion and second on the floor to adopt. Roll call vote.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bookovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasil?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It's ordinance O-15-38.
That completes item 6. Move on to item 7, ordinances and resolutions, second reading. Item A.
An ordinance establishing the salary for the Safety Service Director for the years 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Bookback,
Make a motion to send 7A to its third reading, please.
Mr. Goodell.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to send item A on to the third reading. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bookovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasil?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item B.
An ordinance establishing the salaries for the members of council for the years 2016 and 17 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Van Kuren.
Move to send 7B on to its third reading, please.
Mr. Goodell.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to send item B on to the second reading. Any comments?
Third reading.
Third reading, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Winarski?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bookovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasil?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item C.
An ordinance establishing the salary for the clerk of council for the years 2016 and 17 and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Wasil.
Move to send this to the third reading.
Mr. Bookback.
Second, please.
Motion is second on the floor to send item C on to the third reading. Roll call vote.
Mr. Winarski?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Janik?
Yes.
Mr. Bookovac?
Yes.
Mr. Goodell?
Yes.
Mr. Van Kuren?
Yes.
Mrs. Wasil?
Yes.
Motion carries. That completes item 7. We'll move on to item 8, ordinances and resolutions, third reading. We have none. Move on to item 9, miscellaneous acknowledgement of the public. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like to welcome Mr. Bowman, and it looks like we have 2 more that have come in. Thanks for coming to the council. And with that, I'd also like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hope that everybody has a safe holidays and enjoys a time to be thankful. So with that is it.
Anyone else? Move on to item 10, agenda requests and committee meeting schedules. We have none. Move on to item 11, reports of administration.
Mr. Ramsey,
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Costello,
With leaf pickup, we're on the south side of the tracks this week. We'll work through Wednesday and be taking Thursday and Friday off for the holiday. My best guess is if you have leaves left after that point, we'll probably be making one more pass through the entire city, but we'll reevaluate that Monday. But if you have leaves, get them out to the street and pick them up. Thank you. And the report.
Mr. Pecor,
No report, Mr. Mayor.
and the report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Bookback.
Make a motion to accept the reports of administration.
Mr. Goodell.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to accept the reports of administration. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Mr. Miller.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Goodell.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned at 7:46.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, no one.